Hey guys, Eddie here. I haven't said that in a while. Anyways, I'm in my car here, and I just wanted to tell this story. You guys probably saw the title of this video and you're like, yeah, okay. This guy was abducted by aliens. It should be funny to watch this crazy person rant about how he was abducted. But I'm not a crazy guy. I mean, according to myself, I don't think I'm crazy. You might think I'm crazy, and other people might think I'm crazy. But I mean, get pretty good grades, know a lot of stuff, pretty smart. Up to date on current issues. So this isn't coming from some redneck in the middle of Louisiana with an IQ of a raisin, trying to tell you about how he was abducted and probed by aliens. This is a real story, and what I think happened is I probably dreamed this, because I believe there are probably other life forms out there, but I don't know why they would abduct humans. But that it seems so real, like I have trouble believing it was a dream. But I feel like it was some kind of dream, and I just interpreted it as something that happened in my life. But it feels real, so like part of me wants to believe that this actually happened. And like, I don't drink, don't do drugs, nothing. So nothing would have altered my consciousness. I do meditate, but I've never been good at it. Or I'm not good enough at it yet to the point where I can really have some experiences, if you know what I mean. So I'll basically just tell you my story. I was walking my dog down right in this area here, actually. Kind of weird that we passed that. That's just a coincidence. I didn't plan that. But I'm walking my dog, and I see a UFO, and it doesn't look like a normal UFO, like, you know, like a movie UFO. It looks something like what we have, like the spaceships that we have. You know, like Apollo 11 or whatever. It looks like that, and it just comes over me. And these two guys hop out, and I'm like freaked out, like crapping my pants, because I'm like, you know, I see this spaceship, no one's around me, and I start screaming, and these two guys, it felt like I was getting kidnapped by humans, which is what I thought was happening, but there's a spaceship, so it was like too much for my mind to handle at this point. So anyways, these two guys wearing like these black masks, just like look like burglars, but they're kind of weird. The aliens have like these pointy arms. I don't really know how to describe it. But they have like pointy arms. They don't look like humans, but I don't know. They're probably evolution, like whatever planet they live on. If this is real, I'm just speculating here. Like they probably evolved differently. But anyways, so these aliens pick me up, tie me up with a rope. Oh, there's a cop. I'm just gonna drive normal for a sec. He's looking at me. Okay, he's gone. I could tell him I'm telling my alien abduction story. He'd think I'm super cool and smart and with it. Anyways, so I get abducted by these men. They tie me up, and their spaceship's like hovering, so it's not like ours. Obviously, the technology is far more advanced. And they take me up to their ship with like a grappling hook type of deal. And like they have me tied up and they bring me up. And they didn't put a bag over my head or anything, so I could see all of this. I just parked, but I'm just gonna keep telling the story for now. So I'm in this spaceship, and it's like white and blue. It kind of looks like we imagined like futuristic things to look, but not really. But it's just a little different. I don't have a great memory of it, but like there was a dashboard up front, blue. There's a big red button on the wall. I don't know what it did. They never used it when I was there. But so these aliens sit me down and they start asking me questions. Like, what kind of race are you guys? How long have you been on this planet? Like, stuff you would ask someone if they moved into like a new house. like, how long have you lived here? I mean, I don't know. They're like, where did you live before you came here? Stuff like that. They're like, how long have you guys been on this planet? I'm like, we don't really know. A lot of people say God put us here. A lot of people say we were here for millions of years. And they were confused by that. They're like, how do you not know? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not in charge here. But they didn't really seem to understand that. They didn't seem to understand that we don't know. And then they're like, what? Like, are your biggest problems here? And I'm like, well, war. And they didn't understand that at all. They didn't even get the concept of war. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, countries will have disagreements and they'll kill each other. And the aliens didn't even understand killing. They're like, why would you kill each other? And I'm like, that's a good question. A lot of people like to ask that. You know, so these aliens seem pretty smart, right? So basically I'm like, can you guys answer a question for me? And they're like, yeah, like they were cool. They weren't even interrogating me, even though they tied me up, which is weird, you know, dream world. If this was a dream, I don't know. I'm telling it as if it's a real story, but I don't really believe that this happened, but I don't know. So anyways, they had me tied up still, but they allowed me to ask them a question. I'm like, why would you kidnap me? And they're like, well, knowledge. We are explorers, and we've never made it to this, like, sector of the universe before. So we want to learn knowledge about you. And I'm like, I am not the right guy to talk to. You want to talk to the president. And they're like, well, we don't really want to talk to your leaders. They spoke English, by the way, which is weird, which is what makes me think this was a dream. If they've never been to Earth, why would they speak English? Maybe they had translators. I don't know. No clue. This is probably all in my head. Like, you want to talk to the president. They're like, oh, if we talk to your leaders, they get crazy, and it's just not good. You know, if the leader of your country says, you know, aliens abducted you, or the leader of any country, prime minister, whatever, says aliens abducted them, and, you know, it causes a lot of pandemonium, because everyone thinks the leader's crazy, even though it's true that they got abducted. They've done it on other planets, they said. It didn't work. So they just like to talk to a random guy. I guess I got chosen. Which is why I'm making this video. So they kept asking me, like, normal questions, like, you know, we see your planet's mostly water. Do people live on water? And I'm like, no, not yet. They're like, have you explored other planets yet? We've never met anyone from Earth. And I'm like, no, just our moon. And, like, we send stuff out to other planets, but we don't send humans there. And they're like, is it prosperous here? Like, can you live? And I'm like, yeah, we're good. We have more than enough food, but we have trouble getting it to Africa. And they're like, why don't you just transport it there? And I'm like, our transportation is not as good as you guys. And they seem to understand that. These guys had explored a lot of planets, so they kind of understood. And I had some questions of my own, so I asked them, I'm like, where did the universe begin? And they didn't know that. They said no being that they've ever met has discovered that. They've met people more technologically advanced than them and less. Nobody could tell me when the world started. You know, there's, like, religions and whatnot on other planets, according to these guys, in my dream. But, they said they didn't know. Then I asked, like, where does the universe end? Is it expanding? How does that work? They didn't know that either. I guess some questions we might just never know the answer to. Even aliens can't answer. So then these aliens, they're like, all right, we're going to want to do some studies on your body. And I was like, I'm skeptical. I'm like, I don't know if I want you guys to do that. And they'd been really nice. I'm like, I'm kind of protective on my body. Like, you know, I don't want aliens probing me. You know, I've heard stuff about aliens. They're like, no, well, we hate to be, like, dicks, for lack of a better word. I don't remember what they said. They were like, we hate to be rude, but, like, you don't really have a choice. And, like, we need to do this for scientific research. And they're like, scientific research is above how we treat other life forms. And I'm like, all right, some people are like that on Earth, too. And I didn't really have a choice. So they, they didn't really get decency. So I was like, meh. they're like, what's your comfort level? I'm like, just let me keep my pants on. And they're like, okay. So I took my shirt off, and this is getting really weird. None of this is true. I made the entire thing up. Thank you.